America, we got to get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us. Hey, Monday. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. We're a little bit late this Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. The proof is in the pudding. I've got to Google later on today where that expression came from. But the proof is in the pudding. All you got to look at to understand what happened this weekend is remember what Republicans said for the week to two leading into No King's Day this past Saturday. Start there. Everything that Trump and Vance and Speaker Mike Johnson and all the Republicans said for a week or two about no kings. Start there. Nothing but a hate America crowd. Antifa. George Soros funded everything. Bunch of terrorists. That's what you're going to see on Saturday. A bunch of America-hating, Hamas-loving terrorists. In a nutshell, that's what Republicans told you you would see on Saturday. And it's going to be ugly. And man, watch out for violence. Remember, you had a number of Republican governors getting the National Guard ready. Getting them ready, going to deploy the guard for these America-hating, Hamas-loving terrorists who are going to take to the American streets on Saturday to say no kings. We had governors getting their National Guard activated. Listen to what they said before Saturday. These people hate America, they said. They're all Antifa, they said. Radical left-wing haters, they said. Funded by George Soros, they said. Terrorists. They're going to be waving Palestinian Hamas flags everywhere, they said. And watch out, stay away, they said. Because it's going to get ugly, these rallies, these No Kings rallies. They're going to get ugly. They're going to get violent. There's going to be chaos and violence on the street. They're going to be burning shit down. They're going to be looting, rioting. This is the picture Republicans painted before Saturday. And then a really funny thing happened. None of that. Over 7 million Americans, the largest peacetime protest in American history, over 7 million Americans went outside onto a street somewhere in America, some 26 or 2,700 locations around this country, big city, rural county, and everywhere in between. Over 7 million Americans went out on Saturday and not one arrest. Not one act of violence. No violence anywhere. No crimes committed anywhere. No burning, no rioting, no looting, no arrest. I saw 2 arrests made on Saturday, and they were both of Trump supporters who tried to disrupt the rallies. One Trump supporter, I'm forgetting, actually brought a gun to her effort to disrupt the No Kings rally. Over 7 million Americans, no arrests, no violence. No rioting, no looting. And then listen to what Republicans said the day after. Uh, the day after No Kings, yesterday, Sunday, and still today. And in fact, we might have this, Keith. I was on MSNBC yesterday. I think it's the first clip I sent you, Keith, about the old people. See if you can find that. And I've seen a number of MAGA influencers out there this morning saying, oh, it was just a bunch of old people. Just a bunch of old people out there. So it wasn't Antifa, whatever the heck Antifa was. It's just a bunch of old people. That's not going to work either, because this is their kryptonite. This is a mammoth, peaceful resistance. And that's the one thing a fascist just cannot deal with. That was me. Thanks, Keith. That was me yesterday, the day after the rally, the No Kings rallies. Old people. Speaker Mike Johnson, J.D. Vance, all the other Republicans, after the No Kings rally, they went on the talk shows and on their podcast and on social media, and they said it was nothing but a bunch of old white people. Nothing but a bunch of senior citizens they had to grab out of old folks' homes. So before the event, the Republican line was they're Antifa. They're ugly and they're going to get violent. None of that happened. And so yesterday, Republicans and Fox News, Speaker Johnson, all the way down, Trump, all the way down, nothing but a bunch of old white people. Just old people. No violence. So it's just a bunch of old white people. Like old people don't matter. Old white people don't matter. None of that matters. The important point is listen to what they say. And what they told you would happen did not happen. And so after the event, after the 7 million more Americans peacefully protest on Saturday, after all of that, zero arrests, zero violence. Man, happy warriors out there all day. And I was on the streets, happy warriors out there all day. When all of that went down, all they can fall back on is tell their Fox News hugging audience that it was just a bunch of old white people and they don't matter. And yeah, if you're asking why is there anyone who still believes anything these Republicans are saying right now, that's a different issue. And I was out there, I was on the streets in Washington, D.C., a couple 100,000 people in Washington, D.C. Not only were there no arrests and no violence and none of that stuff, there was no hating on America. It was like a love fest. American flags everywhere. It was like a love fest out there. People, white, black, and brown, young, middle-aged, and older, right? Everybody united around love for this country because we don't want kings in this country. I was blown away by that. I caught some flack at the end of last week before the rally because I told people very publicly, leave your Palestinian flags at home. This is about democracy. I said, leave all of your personal policy demands at home on Saturday. This is all about defeating fascism, defending democracy and the rule of law. Just that one thing. Without that, without democracy and the rule of law, nothing else matters. None of these policy disagreements we have matters. Nothing matters in Gaza if we, America, no longer have democracy and the rule of law. And a funny thing happened, 90% of the people out there on Saturday were waving the American flag. And it was all about democracy, defending democracy, the rule of law, defending the rule of law. It was all about attacking a fascist in the White House, authoritarianism here in America. No matter where we stood on other issues, that issue that seemed to unite everybody on Saturday, that was there. And sure, at every single rally, you had some folks who had their own personal policy beliefs. Fine. And yes, right, all of the right-wing Fox News influencers and Republicans, they're touting like the one Palestinian flag I saw in Nashville, man. They were all waving the Palestinian flags. Yes, the right continues to play that game, but it won't work here because, again, the proof is in the pudding. There were a gazillion American flags all over this country on Saturday. I mean, we were all out there reaffirming that basic American principle that we don't have fucking kings in America. That's what our founders said and believed and fought against. No kings here. It's our love of country that brought everybody out. And for a day, the vast majority of the folks that came out did, in fact, put all their other personal policy demands, left them at home for a day to join in this fight to save democracy and the rule of law and oppose a king. It was really refreshing to see. Happy warriors, a lot of happy warriors. I said something else on MSNBC yesterday, again, the day after the big rally. Keith, play that.
The seriousness of where we are. You asked Leah what needs to be done next. Let's understand the context. We have a guy in the White House who's going to do everything he can to screw with the elections next year, to cheat in the elections next year, to possibly put off the elections next year. So let's remind ourselves that this is really, really scary. And the only thing that can stop him is all of us.
That was the context as well on Saturday. Happy 7+ million people out there, happy warriors, touting their love for this country. No kings here. But there was a determination I heard and felt with everyone I spoke with. This is a scary, scary time. This is a scary, scary time. We're a year away. We've got a guy in the White House who's going to try to invoke the Insurrection Act. He's putting the military on our streets. He's going to try to keep brown and black people from voting. He's going to try to intimidate Democrats from voting. He's going to try to postpone the 2026 elections. He doesn't want the elections to happen. Good luck trying to ever remove him physically from the White House in 28. This is where we are, right? So a joyous, happy No King's Day, but we have the very thing our founding fathers feared in the White House. He tried to overthrow one American election. He's going to try to postpone another, and we need to be aware of that and be afraid of that. And there was a determination and a fear, a palpable fear that I felt on the streets on Saturday when I spoke with fellow Americans who were out protesting. This is not normal, they would say. They told me. I never thought I'd come to something like this, but I never thought I'd be here. We'd be here as a country. I heard that over and over on Saturday. I never thought we'd be here where we had a president going after his political enemies, using the Justice Department to go after his political enemies. Didn't think we'd be here, Joe. That's why I'm out on the streets today, people told me. I didn't think we'd ever be here where we had masked federal agents disappearing 82-year-old Latino grandmothers off of our streets. Didn't think we'd be here, Joe. That's why I'm out protesting today. Never done it before. I heard plenty of this all day on Saturday. the awareness of where we're at. This is scary and unprecedented. The very thing our founders feared is in the White House. Fascism ain't coming. Fascism is here. No kings. Way to go from here. Where to go from here? There'll be another huge No Kings Day, probably early next year. They'll be organizing. The beautiful thing about this movement is it's organic. You'll begin now to see more organizing across the board, across the country. Hey, let me quickly hop to this. Keith, do we have that? What am I looking for? That kind that post about how very little Republicans have been working so far. Look at this. Hey, everybody, stop what you're doing. Put your coffee down and look at this. Today, Monday, Speaker Johnson will have the House adjourned again. That's 77 out of the last 89 days. The House of Representatives has not been working. They've worked 12 days in the past 3 months. They're not working. Your representatives. They're not coming to D.C. Your representatives. They're not voting on anything. They're not in committee. They're not doing anything. 77 of the last, keep that up for a minute, Keith. 77 of the past 89 days, there's been no House of Representatives. They're not working. Oh, and by the way, the government shut down. The House isn't here. No House Republicans here. 77 in the last 89 days. The Epstein shutdown, yeah, all to prevent, right? And by the way, add to this, you can take that down, Keith. Add to this, a Democratic congresswoman from Arizona was elected 4 weeks ago. Republicans, Mike Johnson still hasn't sworn her in. So on top of all of that, 77 of the past 89 days, Republicans, the House has been shut down. The House isn't working. Republicans have shut the House down. My God, an Arizona congresswoman elected 4 weeks ago, and Mike Johnson still has not sworn her in. All to prevent the Epstein files from coming out. All to keep the Epstein files hidden as the government remains shut down. Again, I said this last week. No matter where you are on this shutdown, and no matter who you want to blame on this shutdown, the simple facts are clear. Senate Democrats have been in D.C. working. Senate Republicans have been in D.C. working. House Democrats have been coming to D.C. The only group not in D.C., which is why the House is shut down because the Republicans control the House, the only group in D.C. that's not working are House Republicans. They're nowhere to be found. So there's a shutdown. There's a shutdown. No matter where you stand on that shutdown, to end the shutdown, they got to come together and figure something out. Only one group ain't coming together. House Republicans refuse to come to D.C. You throw in a president who was out golfing yesterday. He doesn't give a fuck. Trump doesn't give a fuck. All to keep. So follow me here. Members of the military, air traffic controllers, other government employees are not being paid because Donald Trump is demanding that the Epstein files stay hidden. That Arizona congresswoman, she's the final vote to open up the Epstein files. So air traffic controllers aren't being paid. Members of the military aren't being paid. Federal employees are not being paid right now because Donald Trump wants to keep the Epstein files hidden. Give me a MAGA MAGA. Everybody together. MAGA MAGA. Last point I want to make today quickly. I have said for the past 5-6 years, my former political party is a cult. The Republican Party is a cult. I was a Republican my whole life up until about 5.5 years ago. one of the reasons I left my former party is because to remain viable in that former party, you've got to get down on your knees every day and pray to dear Lord Donald Trump. He is a cult leader. It doesn't matter where you stand on issues. It doesn't matter. Nothing. As a Republican, you're a Republican. You want to get elected. You're a Republican and you want an audience. You want a following. You want voters. You want to be important. You want to be relevant. The only thing that matters is you need to bow down and worship Donald Trump. I've been saying this for a long time. It's a cult. Saddens me. Utterly saddens me. J.D. Vance was out in California giving a speech to members of the military yesterday, and he said this. Go ahead, Keith.
You know, I've been asked many times, why did I want to run for and become Vice President of the United States? And there's a lot of answers, of course, to that question. I wanted to serve our wonderful Commander-in-Chief, President Donald J. Trump, and I know we're proud of him. And of course, I wanted to serve the American people and make their lives better, but really, deep down, I wanted the Commandant of the Marine Corps to have to salute a member of the E4 Mafia, and now he has to.
I wanted to serve Donald Trump. J.D. Vance, Saturday. Why did I run for? Did he run for vice president? Why did I want to become vice president? And J.D. Vance led with, I became vice president to serve Donald Trump. And J.D. Vance took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States. But no, most important to J.D. Vance is he wanted to serve Trump. He wanted to serve his leader, not the Constitution, not the rule of law, not this country, not the American people. He led with, he put it out there. I wanted to serve a man. I wanted to serve the leader of a party. I wanted to serve a God. I wanted to serve Donald Trump. You have to be really deep, deep, deep up Trump's backside to publicly say something like that as an elected official whose most important job is to defend the Constitution of the United States. And you put serving Trump above that? He said it publicly, and he said it proudly. And I've said before, we are in this mess to a large degree because we don't have a legislative branch right now. We do not have a Congress. We don't have a Congress. Every member of Congress who back in early June, when they raised their right hands on June 4th, I believe, and they took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, they didn't take that oath. They took an oath to protect and defend Donald Trump. And for the past 9 months, that's what this Republican Congress has been doing, which is why, by the way, this Republican Congress ain't working. 77 of the past 89 days, they have taken off. Why? Because their cult leader demands that those Epstein files never see the light of day. So you put that above everything else the Republicans in Congress do. Serving the American people, defending the Constitution, keeping the government open. None of that matters because the cult leader said, don't go to D.C. Don't go into session. Don't swear in that Arizona Congresswoman because we can't release the Epstein files. What is that but a cult? following every single dictate of their dear leader. Thanks for listening. Hope you had a great weekend. By the way, jump onto my Substack. Do me a favor. When you jump onto my Substack, subscribe to my Substack. There it is, Social Contract with Joe Walsh.substack.com. You're looking for one way to support what the heck I do. It's that. Subscribe to my Substack. It would just be the greatest thing in the world, and it helps to keep my voice out there. Social Contract with Joe Walsh.substack.com. Thank you for that. Shoot me an email about anything. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh. Thanks, Keith. At gmail.com. All one word. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. Let's make it a good week, everybody. Thanks for listening. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.